Substitution is an algebraic method to solve a system of equations. For example, solve the system 3x plus y equals 1, 2x minus 2y equals 14. The first step is to isolate the easiest variable to isolate. And what that means is that maybe there's a variable without coefficients or with a low coefficient that divides into the other numbers. In this case, the easiest variable to isolate is this y because it doesn't have a coefficient. So in that equation, to isolate y, or to get y by itself, we need to move these x's. So subtract 3x from both sides to get y equals 1 minus 3x. That's what we call the isolated equation. And really it's just a rewriting of this first equation, 3x plus y equals 1. Step 2 is to substitute for that variable into the other equation. So that means we're going to substitute for y in the second equation, and we are going to substitute 1 minus 3x instead of y, since those two quantities are equal. So, rewriting the second equation, we get 2x minus 2, but now instead of y, we're going to write this quantity 1 minus 3x. So this is exactly the second equation, but instead of y, we've written 1 minus 3x from this isolated equation. So now step 3 is to solve this equation for the variable that remains. So that means we're going to solve this equation for x. Now to do that, we're going to distribute this negative 2. We would get 2x minus 2, and negative 2 times negative 3x is positive 6x equals 14. Then we want to combine like terms on this side. 2x plus 6x is 8x minus 2 equals 14. Then we keep solving, so add 2 to both sides to get 8x equals 16, and then divide by 8 to get x equals 2. So now that's the first part of our solution, that's the x value of our solution. Now we want to find the y part of our solution. And we do that by step 4, substitute this answer for x back into one of the original equations or into the isolated equation in order to solve for y. So since we have this isolated equation for y, let's plug in x equals 2 into that equation. So y equals 1 minus 3 times 2. That means y equals 1 minus 6, so y equals negative 5. That was easy to do in the isolated equation. You could also plug back in that x value to either of the two original equations to solve for y. So that means that the solution to this system of equations is the point 2, negative 5. So that is where these two lines intersect.